California Spring Trials is Fashion Week for our industry, or maybe you can think of it like the auto show, a chance to see many of the coolest new products available for upcoming seasons. Dozens of global breeding companies and innovative plant introduction companies set up along the California coast in early spring to showcase new crops that have been in development for years, even decades. New series, additions, upgrades, and sometimes brand new plants are grown out and discussed in detail for the better part of a week to drive interest from visiting growers, retailers, and distribution companies. It's also a time to catch up with old friends, solidify strategic partnerships, and revel in the beauty created by our industry. We've done this for decades and we'll do it again in 2026 from March 24th to 27th. Registration is managed by the National Garden Bureau, and you can sign up to secure your spot at caspringtrials.us. In fact, registration is essential. A quick reminder before we get started. New for this year, if you're visiting a location with more than one exhibiting company, like most of them, registration by location means you register for all companies when you schedule your appointment at caspringtrials.us. But be sure to allocate plenty of time for stops with multiple companies. One click doesn't mean one quick visit. Take, for example, the Head Start Nursery Stop or the Santa Barbara Polo Club. You can register for the location, but you'll need to allocate time for all of the exhibiting companies, and that can mean as many as 100 new varieties. Last but not least, check out the suggested itineraries at caspringtrials.us. If 2026 will be your first time visiting the trials, or you haven't been in a few years, they will be very helpful. Let's hear about some of the things you'll see and experience at Spring Trials this year. I'm your host, Bill Calkins, and today, as part of our Spring Trials preview mini-series, I'm here with Stephanie Vincenti from Selecta to hear what the company has in store for us this March. It'll be a quick conversation, but the goal is to inspire you to register and start thinking ahead as you plan your crop mix for 2026, 2027, and beyond. Stephanie, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Bill. Thanks for having me again.
For sure. We did already talk about Ball Flora Plant, but now we are talking Selecta and another vegetative introduction company. And although the Stop at Ball does include a lot of different companies under the Ball umbrella, Selecta is always a really unique space within the context of the entire trial. So tell us again where the trial is located and how you describe the overall feel of the Selecta space within that big trial.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are at the Santa Paula Ball Stop. We are positioned right kind of in the same area with Ball Flora Plant, which I always think is a huge advantage when you're looking at two vegetative breeding companies. Being able to kind of compare and contrast the offerings from each and see what complements really your program best, I always think has been a huge advantage for us. In terms of Selecta, I would say one of our biggest focuses is innovation. We're constantly breeding towards really cool, unique, different varieties that will kind of jump off the shelf at retail and that consumers will love and also be successful with.
It's a good description, and it's interesting. I don't know if I've ever considered the pros or cons of being positioned almost side by side, because I've seen it that way for so long. And you're right, it does allow you to build a full vegetative program as a grower or broker standing there in front of it. So that does make a lot of sense. I like that.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you explained that. And looking back to last year, Selecta, you guys had a lot of new introductions, exciting stuff. It was very colorful. What was one of the big hits from the 2025 trials in your eyes?
I would absolutely say dahlias. Last year, we introduced quite a few new dahlias, including Pink Burst and Fire Burst, which are in our Venti series, and those got a really, really great reception. They looked great at the event. And then we introduced our Lace series as well, which I kind of consider like a frosted tip on the flowers. So we had a big launch year last year for dahlias, and we got a lot of really great feedback on it. And we are also going to have a big launch year for dahlias this year.
Well, I think that underscores Selecta's innovation that you talked about. The dahlia programs from Selecta over the years have been pretty huge and game-changing, I would say. And yeah, I remember that from last year. It was definitely a stunning new product. And
Yeah,
can you tell? Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with you. It's also, I think the thing that I get so excited about dahlias is you see the breeding and there's just so much cool stuff. in dahlias. It's unbelievable. But you have to be super diligent and make sure you're only putting forward the varieties that our growers and consumers can be successful with, right?
True.
So that means diligent screening against things like powdery mildew, things like that, that would just cause kind of wreak havoc on your dahlia crop, right?
Yep.
And so when we get to this finish line, and I know that they've been through this gauntlet and we finally get to bring them out to the market, that's something that I find so exciting at these events.
That's a good point, because with dahlias, I mean, if a plant has a pretty bloom, it might sell. But if it goes down quick in the homeowner's garden, that ends up not being a good plant, and you're not going to get the sale next year. So that screening is absolutely critical, especially for dahlias. That's a good point.
Totally agree. Even though us marketing folk love having all those pretty new blooms to talk about, it's all about making sure that everyone can be successful with it.
That's true. So can you tell, and you talked a little bit right there about how much effort goes into some of these lines, years and years of breeding and screening and selection work. But can you tell the listeners a little bit about what it takes to put on an event like this for Selecta One, and really what the attendees will gain when they walk into the Selecta One space?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's quite a bit of planning. It's about a full year at least of planning, and that's only for the displays themselves. That's not counting all the breeding and R&D and everything else that goes into making these products a successful launch. But as far as the event itself, it really starts at the previous year, creating the seeds of a plan for the next year. I shouldn't say the seeds, I should say the cuttings.
The cuttings of a plan.
To start to plan for next year. And then, we have our plan ready late summer and get all the products going, try to really fine tune our messaging for what are the questions that really our customers have, what do they need to learn, and kind of fine tune it best we can to communicate those things.
It is, and it's a team effort, and I know that the Selecta One team globally works really hard and puts a lot into spring trials, and it definitely shows. And I like how you mentioned that you approach it from a questions base. What are the questions we're going to get from growers, from brokers, from anyone in attendance, or anyone who's going to use these plants throughout the year, and then plan the messaging in that way? That's awesome, and it's good to hear. And I think it's really helpful to everyone who's in attendance. And that's one of the values I think you get from going to spring trials, is having a chance to ask those questions and having the people there who can give you the answers right there on the spot without a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like you said, this part's only half the battle. We try to plan ahead for any potential, questions, and try to give as many solutions as we can. But that's why we have such a great team at the event as well, from technical people, sales people, product managers, marketing people. We really try to be able to help with any questions we might receive.
That's great. So here's a question, speaking of questions, and it's the one that I think most people are going to tune into these Spring Trials podcasts for, is to find out what to expect in 2026. So do you want to shout out a couple of the new varieties or something that folks are going to get excited about when they walk in?
I do. I would say that, dahlias were such a big hit last year. They're such a big priority for us in our breeding. And we have a very exciting new series that we'll be introducing this year as well. So really excited to be rounding out that portfolio with even more options that we know are just consumer favorites.
What size are we talking with that series? Is it big? Is it medium?
We're going a little more compact.
Okay.
And so it's a little bit easier for retail, for
Cool.
high density production. And then it has a dark leaf as well.
Ooh, dark leaf, high density. So we're going to get awesome dahlias into the hands of a lot of people. That's exciting.
That's the idea.
Anything else that you want to shout out, or you just want to stick with dahlias and let people wonder?
I would say I'm going to let people wonder, Bill.
Awesome. Well, that's
Build
good.
that
And we know
anticipation.
that's cool. And we know you guys are going to have cool stuff. So I'm sure that it's going to be more than just a series of dahlias. So folks are going to have to make their plans and get out there and see. Well, Stephanie, thank you.
Maybe even a new class for Selecta. I don't know. We'll see.
Interesting. Well, that's awesome. Stephanie, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.
Now's the time to head over to the National Garden Bureau registration website at caspringtrials.us. You'll find a link in the show notes. Get your team registered. consider bringing a bunch of people, because at a stop like Selecta, you're going to need a lot of different eyeballs, and people are going to spot different things that are perfect to add to your assortment. And don't forget to subscribe to the Tech on Demand podcast on your favorite app. That way you will never miss an episode.